There's a red house over yonder. That's where my baby stays.
Hey there YouTube, how you guys doing today? We're going to enjoy another beer, a share of beer if you will. And one quick thing I wanted to mention was, I do get, you guys, I get some requests from you guys, and I appreciate all the comments and the love and the requests. Sometimes the store I go to, you can usually buy a single bottle. It's a real unique place for being around here. You don't have to buy a 12 or a 6 of everything. And a lot of things, two things that I've been asked to do that I can't find in that place is the Killian's Irish Red and the Stroh's. Can't find them there, and that would mean that I'd have to go to this other place around here and get a whole case. They might have it there. I don't even know if they would for sure. So, sometimes I don't want to, get the full case or whatever. But I just, I am paying attention, and I appreciate the request. Whenever I get one, I try to do it. I try to find it and get it done. So, I appreciate the patience with that. Anyways, on to part 2 of the Bad Beer Trilogy. Today, we're doing one that I've seen done by one other guy out there. Natural Ice. Now, I did Natty Light, and we're going to do Natural Ice this time around. Do Natty Ice, or Natty Light back in the summer, so check that out. But this is 5.9 ABV. It says on the can, ice brewed for a naturally smooth taste. The can had a redesign about a few years ago. We did a redesign of the can. It used to look a lot more bland. This is all flashing now. It's made by Anheuser-Busch. It's just normal 12-ounce can. That's really all there is to say about it. There's nothing else. I mean, it's very infamous, and a lot of people in college drink it, and it's been a while since I had one, so we're going to crack it open, give it a pour, see what's going on. Get the crack here. Decent amount of smoke coming out of there. Not as much as out of that Colt 45 though. We're going to do the pour. You got to be careful pouring these real cheapies. They tend to bubble up real quick. It's hard to pour these right down the middle. I'm just going to really try to take it easy here. Yeah. It's a good pour. Alright. There it is. There's your pour verdict. It poured pretty decently. I noticed a lot more carbonation right out the gate. That's one of the first things I noticed. A lot more than that Colt 45 had, and I thought that even though it tasted like it had more, it didn't really look like more. But this, there's a little more bubble action going on. That head, that's not going to stay around. You just know that going in with this guy. Yeah, you can just see it just deteriorating quickly. Let's have a smell. Now, it's not inviting, but it's not bad. Maybe it's bad. I don't know. It's not awful. Definitely some grain. That's the biggest thing I get out of it is just grain. Yeah, grain is I get the most. Maybe a hint of corn. But it's certainly mostly grain. The head, pretty much gone. That's about all she wrote. Color of this, like I said, it always looks darker through the camera, but the color of this is very pale. I'm looking at the TV and the video games and stuff, and I can almost make out the details through the glass of what exactly everything is. It's very pale, but it might be a little bit darker than that Colt 45, even if by a smidge, but it's really not even worth mentioning. The color's right around the same. I do think this is a little darker though. Still some bubbles coming up, not as much as at first, but still a little more than I noticed out of that Colt 45. So let's have a taste here and see what we're getting ourselves into. Well, I mean, it's not god awful, but it's not good. No, I mean, it's not good. Mouthfeel is pretty bland, but I do taste a little bit of grain in the mouthfeel, which is more than I can say for that Colt. Aftertaste, a little bit of bitterness, not a hot bitter, just bitter, bad bitter. A little bit of bad bitterness on the aftertaste. There's some bubbles. You know, you can definitely hit the bubbles. Stir it up and have a smell. Yeah, it's just grain. It smells cheap, for a better choice of word. It just smells cheap. It tastes cheap. It was cheap. Now this just went up in price. This used to be like $6.50, $6.25. Now it's up to like $8.25. It went up like $2. Now I don't know if that's a natural ice price hike or that's just my store that I go to. But this went up, and you know, one thing I've noticed drinking these two particular beers, that Cold and this natural ice, is that what ends up happening is I end up burping once when I'm done drinking it, but then later, randomly. Maybe that's because of the higher carbonation. Maybe it's just so thin. I mean, I don't. That might not even be worth mentioning, but it's just something I wanted to throw out there. Let's have another taste. Yeah, that second sip wasn't as bad as the first one was. Not at all. It was pretty tasteless. On that first sip, I got a little bit of that grain, which is still a little bit, but not nearly as much. And I had that bitterness on the after. I don't really get as much bitterness the second time. This is probably one of those beers, the more you drink, the drunker you get, it's not going to be as bad. But $8.25, I don't know. That's pushing it. And it wasn't like the Colt where I just kind of actually inherited that. I didn't even pay for it. But this stuff it's not good. I don't recommend it. I don't really recommend the Colt either. I don't know if this is better or worse. I guess it would just depend on what style you prefer. You know, do you prefer something more just like a regular lager? Do you prefer that malt? Because Cold had a little bit of the maltiness to it, especially in the aftertaste. This aftertaste isn't as bad as the Colt's aftertaste, but there's something about that Colt that's just real interesting. So, probably going to say, I give the Colt a D+. I'm probably going to give this a D. For whatever reason, I'm not going to go, well, another taste before I jump to conclusions here. See, I got that same nastiness from the bottom, and oh, it's bad. The last sip of these have been pretty rough. Yeah, I gotta remember that. I give the grade, I take the last sip, it drops. So I'm gonna go D-. I think the Colt's a better buy. The natural ice isn't the worst thing I've ever tasted. There's nothing disgusting or repulsive about it. It's just tasteless. And I mean, it's ice brewed for a natural taste, but it's really ice brewed to give more alcohol. Then you get that jump from the 4.2 to the 5.9. So, you know, for the regular guy who just wants to get drunk, Colt's still got a higher alcohol though, so it is what it is. It's not good. Give it a D-. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all the comments. And you guys take care. See you next time.